Hey there, and thank you so much for joining us on Weather Out West. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz, and here's what we're tracking for you on this Friday. Rain and snow are coming to parts of the Northwest, especially for the Pacific Northwest. We'll tell you where and show you the weather impacts and first alerts that have been issued. Much of the central and eastern United States will see a surge of Arctic air today and this weekend as part of a shifting polar vortex pushes in. We'll take a look at that system. It's the only resort in Washington opening this week, while others wait for more snow. We'll take you to Mission Ridge coming up. And finally, you're not a Grinch, but something about the holidays could be making you miserable. We'll explain later on. And once again, we want to thank you for joining us on Weather Out West on this Friday. This is an hour-long show where we tell you what's happening weather-wise across the western United States. We visit 8 regions, including the Pacific Northwest, Spokane, Seattle, and so on and so forth. But we are tracking that polar vortex that I mentioned because a strong Arctic outbreak is bringing the coldest air of the season. We're talking 20 to 30 degrees below average in some locations Friday and into the weekend. Long-standing December record lows, and then even potentially some record cold highs could fall from the plains to the East Coast. And meteorologists are already tracking the chance of an even colder snap later in the month. And you've heard the term polar vortex. I'm sure you have, but what is it really? Simply put, it's a large pool of Arctic air that sits over the North Pole year-round, and it spins like a top, essentially, high up in the atmosphere. It's always there. The polar vortex is normally kept in place by a strong jet stream, which acts essentially like a fence around that cold air. But sometimes that jet stream will weaken or it gets a little wavy. And when it does, chunks of Arctic air break off and plunge south into the United States, all the way to the Gulf Coast sometimes, and even farther than that. And it brings dangerously cold temperatures with it. So when you hear the term polar vortex, it really means Arctic air has escaped south, and you may want to bundle up and pay attention to the forecast. And speaking of cold temperatures, thankfully it's not going to be nearly as cold in Spokane, Washington, just eastern Washington in general, but it's cold enough, at least right now, for snow chances. Spokane's Thomas Patrick is tracking snow chances plus when high winds are set to impact the area.
I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick in Spokane, Washington. We start you out at Silver Mountain having their opening day for skiing and snowboarding today. They actually got about 4 to 5 inches of snow yesterday. But there's still a lot to cover, including a very messy lowland forecast with still some snow and rain possible this afternoon. And then high winds come tonight, all this in the midst of a warming weather pattern. So let's go through all the details for eastern Washington. A lot of wind advisories and high wind warnings issued for this region. So we do have a weather impact alert day for the Spokane region as a whole, though the highest winds will be felt right here, just off of the eastern Cascade slopes from Moses Lake to Wenatchee and Chelan. High wind warnings from 7 p.m. tonight to 7 a.m. Saturday morning. So this is a nighttime event, and the highest wind speeds will be late this evening. Now the wind speeds will be at around 50 miles per hour for the wind advisory areas, including the Palouse, Pullman and Moscow included there. Spokane's just outside of the advisory criteria, which is usually 45 miles per hour. I go 40 mile per hour wind speeds, which is only just barely off. So that's always to say, just because we're not under the wind advisory doesn't mean we're not getting any wind. We will get plenty of that, though it will range from this 40 to 60 mile per hour range. The higher those wind speeds, the more severe it is, and the more likely power outages will be possible. So especially in that central Washington region, that will be the greatest impact that we see for this tonight. The storm as a whole is still the same storm system as we had yesterday, but now it's going to actually lurch through Washington State and North Idaho. So that warm front will now be progressive. It will actually have momentum thanks to the wind that will carry it along. And those wind speeds will be at their strongest in this lower Columbia Basin, mostly central southern Washington and northern Oregon. Meanwhile, snow is still possible on the northern end here, though we're not seeing a ton of it right now, but we'll watch how this progresses through the remainder of this afternoon. Notice, though, no winter weather advisories for northeastern Washington because we're not going to get a lot of snow out of this warm front passage. Now, the mountains of North Idaho, different story. Winter storm warnings actually for Lookout Pass, which could get 6 to 12 inches of total snow between today and Saturday morning. So that could be heavy snow for the mountain passes themselves. But at our lower elevations, this is actually looking warmer than it did yesterday. High of 38 degrees in Spokane, even 44 in Pullman. So that's the beginning of this warm front. It puts us a little above average today, but our low temperatures aren't actually all that cold anymore. We go to the mid 40s for highs both Saturday and Sunday as the rain is going to be prevalent on those days. So this isn't any kind of sunshine that's going to help us out. It's just the weather pattern as a whole turns very warm very quickly. It's actually the wind that brings in the warmth in the first place in a process which is called warm air advection. Now, it is a strong wind, so that's why we're alerting for that. Again, wind advisories, high wind warnings for a portion of the region that will last through Saturday morning. Then it's all about the warmth. Mid 40s Saturday, Sunday, and almost 50 degrees, or at least upper 40s, Monday, Tuesday of next week.
And in Idaho, Boise's Hector Mendoza is tracking rain and snow on this Friday.
A lot of the skiers and boarders here in Idaho excited as we got some snow here early on this morning, late last night, and that's going to continue here as we look at our Bogus Basin webcam here from early on this morning. And as we've seen it pass through, we've seen a lot more of that snow starting to pile up in portions of the mountains. And as we take a look at the snow stake here in Bogus Basin, we see that around 6,300 feet, several inches of snow starting to get closer to 5 to 6 inches out in Bogus. We're seeing an extra 3 to 4 inches here in Brundage, and of course pretty similar out in Tamarack as we're going to continue to rack up a lot of those snow totals here, especially some of the higher elevations where we could see a possibility of an entire foot of snow as we get towards this weekend. But here in the valleys, a lot of fog really sort of making some of those driving conditions a little bit more difficult here for this morning. Had some very early rain, things have cleared out since, but we're going to see those light showers really start to pick up. And again, some dense fog in places like Boise, absolutely no visibility down in Jerome, and that was early on this morning. Most of that is expected to make its way on out as we have more showers coming through, but it's going to be this atmospheric river where we're going to see continue to pump in a lot more of that moisture, and it's going to be this system that's going to help aid in a lot of that here for today. Now, because of the possibility of several inches of snow that stack up for anywhere between 6 to 8 inches in some of these areas here through the West Central Mountains and the Central Mountains, we do have a winter weather advisory set into place till about 11 o'clock tomorrow night. Everywhere shaded in that pink as we're seeing in most areas there further up north in Idaho. And then as we see there through eastern Idaho, a winter storm warning is set into place. Again, a lot of these places could see anywhere between 10 to 12 inches of snow here towards our weekend. Now, that's the thing that we're going to pay attention to, is we're going to have a lot more of that active weather continuing through this evening. But as we head towards tonight and early in through Saturday, some of these showers are going to start to taper off. But after that, we will continue with some wet and unsettled weather as that continues into the beginning and the middle of next week. So as we look at this future cast, we're going to see a lot more of those showers start to pick up, a chance to see some heavy precipitation as we head towards this afternoon. And this is going to be important as a lot of folks are heading out to the Boise State Championship game here against UNLV out on the Blue. So we're expecting wet weather, cool conditions, although the winds aren't going to be too crazy, but we could expect to see some of those winds pick up just a little bit here as we get towards the end of that game. And then as we fast forward here towards this evening and through Saturday, a lot more of those scattered showers sticking up in portions of the mountains, but starting to dry out as we get towards the rest of our afternoon there for Saturday, both the Treasure and Magic Valleys. And even as we get in towards Sunday, we'll start to see a little bit more of some of those scattered showers kind of continuing here as we're seeing at around Saturday, around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then that's just, again, going to continue. And that's going to be the name of the game as we continue on in through the beginning of next week. And then those chances will start to pick back up again as we have another system that comes through, increases those precipitation chances. And that's what's going to really be the big thing as we head on towards next week. So for tomorrow, we're going to see those temperatures into the low 50s. upper 40s there through Sunday, and then staying around those upper 40s, low 50s towards the beginning of the week. And then we're just going to continue to see that unsettled pattern that continues there through Wednesday. A possibility of seeing some very scattered and isolated showers there on Thursday, but we'll see those low 50s there as we head towards the end of the week.
And coming up next, many Washington ski resorts have delayed openings this weekend, except for one. We'll take you there right after the break. Mission Ridge is taking the lead on ski season. It's the only resort in Washington opening this week, while others wait for more snow. It's coming, just we definitely need more. Crews have made enough snow to stay ahead of the weather and get people on the slopes. King 5's Bridget Chavez takes us to the mountain.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
No more waiting.
I got in line at 6 o'clock this morning.
No more guessing.
He's skipping school, I'm skipping work.
There's no way these guys were missing opening day.
Stocked up and yeah, just been waiting.
Right behind.
The lifts are spinning at Mission Ridge,
Opening day excitement.
the only ski resort open in Washington. Instead of waiting on winter to show up, Mission Ridge took winter into their own hands.
Our lower humidity, our colder, drier air really makes snowmaking a perfect fit.
10 people, 12-hour shifts, 24/7, whenever temps drop below 28 degrees.
We didn't have a ton of snowmaking windows, but every opportunity that the teams had, they took advantage of it, getting us here to opening day.
What makes Mission Ridge so unique is that they have the ability to make snow, not just down at the base, but all the way up here to the top of the mountain.
State data shows winter recreation is big business. Snow and ice activities, from cross-country trails to resort runs, drive between $2.3 and $12 billion a year in spending across Washington. So when a mountain opens, local economies feel it.
Mission Ridge is fabulous. It's a hometown ski resort.
Riders say it feels good to be back on snow.
I'm excited for the season because generally Mission has great runs, well groomed.
Even if winter isn't fully cooperating yet.
Snow's a little hard, a little soft, but for the first of the year, I'll take it.
Skiers say early season turns are still worth it.
Pretty special. Pretty special.
And for the crews,
Have fun up there. What's up, guys?
this is the moment they wait for all year long.
So not only is it a badge of honor for the guests that get to grab first chair to start off the season, but seeing that first chair go up is a huge deal for all of our staff because they put in literally months of work to get us to this point.
At Mission Ridge, Bridget Chavez,
Loved that.
King 5 News.
And while snow is headed to Washington's mountains, so is very heavy rain. We need just snow for the ski resorts to really get some of that beneficial snowpack. Seattle's Rich Marriott is tracking the heavy rain and mountain snow, plus the risk for river flooding.
Well, happy Friday. I'm King 5 meteorologist Rich Marriott, and we made it through a pretty wet week, that's for sure, and it looks like it's going to be wet on into next week, though we are seeing a little bit of a let up over the weekend. In fact, we're going to continue to see it be wet out there, but it won't be quite as wet. We won't get exactly the same soaking rains we've gotten recently, but it's going to be a brief pause because we've got even wetter weather headed our way. We get into next week. This morning you can see on the Doppler radar that we've got rain around the area. Much of what's coming down, which is very light mist or drizzle, especially from about Seattle southward, not really being picked up by the radar beam. It's a little bit too high and it kind of sneaks underneath the radar beam, so it's not showing up, but it is wet up and down there. And we also have some fog out there too, which has cut down a little bit on the visibility. That should probably lift as we head towards this afternoon. Take a look out. You can see it's just kind of a gray day. It definitely looks like a December day in the Pacific Northwest, and there in Everett, the camera's finally been engulfed by the clouds, so you get a sense the ground is out there somewhere, and it's wet, and it's pretty much the same as we drop down through the sound. Our rooftop camera looking towards the skyline of Seattle, looking a little ghost-like right now, thanks to the light fog there, and a wet day out at the airport. Again, on the Doppler, remember, it didn't show any precipitation there over SeaTac, but there it is. And Tacoma, looking at pretty much the same thing, and that's going to be the story through the day today. It's not pounding down, but enough's coming down to keep things wet. wet. Take a look out at Westport. Also a very December looking day out there. Checking that 7-day forecast over the weekend. We're looking at about the same. It's going to be occasional light rain over the weekend. We do get a little bit more organized system through. It gives us some steady rain early Sunday and then turns to off and on showers. But again, not looking for it to be all that heavy. That changes as we head into next week. You can see we get into first alert weather days Tuesday and Wednesday as we've got a couple of atmospheric rivers that are going to be pointed at us, giving us some pretty good rainfall totals with some very heavy rains up in the mountains. So rivers are going to rise, and we're going to be looking for a lot of rain to get around the mountains, anywhere from about 7 to 10 inches of rain possible during this whole storm sequence, though we do dry a little bit towards the end of the week. Take a look at our first alert weather days. Basically, it's Tuesday and Wednesday. Those could slide a little earlier or a little later, depending on how the computer models line up as we get closer to it. But basically, the impact is going to be some flooding on the rivers, might be some urban flooding in there, and some very wet commutes, and probably, especially during the dark commutes that we have this time of the year, low visibility with that heavy rain coming down. So you might have some water-covered roads out there as well. All of that contributing to impact. It's not really an extreme weather situation, but it's something that's going to inconvenience you. You might have to make extra allowances in terms of your planning and travel around Puget Sound on those 2 days. Look at the satellite image. You can see we do have this system that's moving through today. Not much to it. See that arc back out there into the Pacific? That's the pattern that we've been looking at with that big high off the coast. But as we head towards the first part of next week, we are going to be seeing that high pressure kind of drop away from us, and what we'll see is a more direct shot from the west to southwest of these systems coming in. Basically, some atmospheric rivers are going to spray up and down the coast rather like a garden hose. But fortunately, it doesn't really stall over us and stay around for a long time at any point, so we get a chance to run off a little bit between these systems. So even though we're looking at some flooding, not looking at really extreme flooding. See what I'm talking about? This is an atmospheric river, and you can see it shows up pretty easily. This is for Sunday. You can see this little system, it just kind of brushes by us. It's aimed more to the south of us than at us. That moves on by, but then as we head into Monday, you see that direct shot straight into us, and that kind of sticks with us, kind of moves up and down the coast as we head towards Tuesday and Wednesday, really soaking us down on those days, and that's when we expect to see those rivers really rise, and the reason we're going for those first alert weather days on Tuesday and Wednesday. As we head towards the end of the week and on into the weekend, you see the atmospheric river starts to point farther to the north towards the coast of BC, and we'll get a chance to dry out a little bit. If we look at the rainfall totals between now and Sunday evening, you see not that bad over the weekend, maybe a half to an inch, which is it's a fair amount of rain, but not all that much. But between Sunday evening and on through Thursday, you can see we pick up another 4 inches of rain around Puget Sound for totals of 5 to 6 inches, and up in the mountains anywhere from about 10 to 12 inches of rain possible there. So the reason we're looking at that flooding, and right now the National Weather Service is estimating we could see some minor to moderate flooding on some of the rivers, especially up in the North Cascades. Checking those snow levels, well, they're up today at 5,000 feet. It's raining at all the highway passes. Drops to 4,000 tomorrow, and that is going to bring it down to the base of the ski areas at Stevens and at Mount Baker, so that's good news for those guys. But we're going to see them go right back up again as we head towards Sunday, Monday, and then by the middle of next week, we're up to about 7,000 feet with some heavy precipitation raining on that new snow. So not looking really good for opening those ski areas here in the short term. And if you're traveling over the Cascades in the next 24 hours or so, the Weather Service has issued a winter weather advisory, basically for Stevens Pass. That's from 5 o'clock tonight, from 7 o'clock tonight until 10 o'clock on Saturday night, because anywhere from about 5 to 10 inches of snow possibly coming down. You can see today, no problems. All the passes are bare. There's no restrictions for any of the passes. And you see if you're traveling today, you're not going to have any problems over the passes. Snoqualmie is going to be rain through the day. Stevens mostly rain through the day, but it does make that switch to snow tonight, and it'll be mostly snow as we head towards tomorrow. So for today, basically looking at occasional light rain. Could be a little breezy in spots this afternoon. High temperatures in the low to mid 50s. Showers and sun breaks tomorrow, and then it's a little steady rain early on Sunday. That'll turn to off and on showers and low to mid 50s over the weekend. That's about 3 to 5 degrees above our normal highs. Rainy and breezy Monday, then rain at times Tuesday, rain possibly heavy at times Wednesday, low to mid 50s. Showers and sun breaks Thursday. It's still mild, but as we showed you, it is going to be gradually drying out at least a little bit as we head towards the following weekend.
And similar to Washington, that heavy rain is set to impact northwestern Oregon, which may cause landslides and flooding as well. Let's get straight to Portland's Rod Hill with everything you need to know.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Chris McGinnis in for Rod Hill today. We have had a wet go of it this morning. Rain actually, this is the wettest part of our Friday. Rain is actually beginning to diminish, and it may shut off actually for a while later this afternoon, but it's not going very far. We'll have occasional rain on Saturday. Sunday is a morning that could be a lot like what we just went through this morning for our morning commute. And then next week, I'm going to call your attention to this. Heavy rain possible with another atmospheric river here landing along the Pacific Northwest Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Rainfall potential on some models exceeds 2 to 3 inches in the Willamette Valley over 2 days, and much, much higher amounts, like maybe 6 or 8 inches or more in the higher terrain of the Coast Range and in the Cascades. And unfortunately, this go round with the temperatures being so warm, the snow levels are really high, like 10,000 feet. So no snow in the Cascades. This will be in the form of rain. And if this develops as such, that does bring in the concern for some flooding and some landslides and some down power lines and power outages. So not to raise the alarm too high here, but just giving you the heads up that that is a part of our forecast we were watching. There's still a lot of moving pieces, so stay tuned. But early to middle next week could be troublesome with the amount of rain that we do see in our forecast. With that being said, it's been a wet morning today. We picked up better than 1.25 inches of rain thus far here in Portland between yesterday morning and this morning. I can start to see the back edge of the significant rain, though. It's already working its way towards the North Oregon coast. Astoria is starting to see the rain breaking up. There's still a pretty good slug of rain out over the Coast Range. We had a pretty good shot go through the Salem area early this morning. Rainfall over the last 24 hours. Salem, as expected yesterday, you escaped a lot of the heavy rain, but you're getting a little bit more of it this morning. Tillamook, by the way, has jumped up to 2.21, largely because of the rain that has fallen this morning. And lesser amounts, of course, as areas east of the Cascades are getting rain shadowed. But in any event, that's the way things are shaking up this morning. As expected, too, the south breeze beginning to pick up 16 miles an hour at the airport. There's that high freezing level, by the way, at 9,500 feet. And PDX right now sits at 54 degrees. Down in Salem, it's raining. South winds sustained at 16. The gusts may be on the order of 20 to 25 as we go through the day today. So, again, if you didn't nail down your holiday ornaments out on the lawn, you might want to do that now, or else you're probably going to see them tipped over when you get home. Also want to note that west winds will really be ratcheting up through the East Gorge and the Columbia Basin later today. There is a wind advisory in effect from 7 p.m. this evening through 7 o'clock tomorrow morning in that part of the state. All right, to go along with the rain, of course, it's mild. The average high for this time of the year in Portland, early December, is about 48 or 49. So we are well above that, hence the snow levels that are up at 9,000, 10,000 feet. And that, unfortunately, is not going to change, at least not for the next 7 days. We're still looking out 10 days plus that there might be a cooler weather pattern setting up. But for right now, we don't foresee snow in the Cascades. All right, here's a look at Futurecast. Again, walking the back edge of that rain through here by mid to late morning. We may have some dry time this afternoon. And then tomorrow, as we mentioned, on and off wet with the green blobs here and there. And then another slug of moisture coming in on Sunday morning. So we put all that together, and it's going to be an on and off wet weekend. As we mentioned, though, off the top, it's really the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday time frame that we're watching. Again, that forecast is evolving, but there is a chance of 2-3 inches of rain in a very short period next week.
Do your allergies act up this time of year? A lot of us, yes. Well, you may actually be allergic to the holidays. We'll explain in today's Health Minute coming up next. Welcome back to Weather Out West on this Friday. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz. And as we know, it's the holiday season, that time of year again when we have allergies, right? Well, unpacking holiday decorations and setting up a Christmas tree can be festive. But if you're feeling like you do during spring and the fall, when the allergy season really begins to peak, there's a reason why. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither explains why you may be allergic to the holidays.
From dusty decor to your Christmas tree, if the holidays have you sneezing, you're not alone.
A lot of people have the predominant symptoms in the spring and summer and fall, but there are some people that continue to have symptoms or maybe even have worsened symptoms when they start to get that tree out.
Dr. Chris Brooks with the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center says if your allergies are acting up around live Christmas trees, it's not from pollen.
When trees are cut down, brought to the house, and are indoor environment, which can be warmer and more humid than the outdoor environment, there can be molds that can grow.
As for artificial trees that have been stored, Brooks says those can not only expose you to mold, but also to dust mites, pet dander, and critter droppings, which can bother the noses and lungs of even folks who aren't allergic.
If you're allergic to mold, maybe not doing a live tree. Symptoms that patients get with non-live trees might be a little bit easier to prevent, because if you're able to clean off all that dust off that tree, that might help prevent symptoms.
When unpacking holiday decor, if the boxes look dusty, Brooks says having a mask on can prevent irritants from getting in your nose. He says properly storing that holiday decor can also help prevent future problems.
Mold thrives in more humid environments, so making sure there's not moisture getting into wherever it's being stored.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Coming up next, we'll have forecasts from Phoenix and Denver. If you want sunshine and warm weather, well, Phoenix will be one of the places to be this weekend. Here's Ginger Jeffries with much more.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries with a look at your Friday forecast across Arizona, where we're a bit on the frigid side. But you know what? The clear skies have also allowed just the most spectacular view of, the final full moon of the year. You know what? We have these 12 News weather watchers, and they have flooded our page with incredible snapshots. I mean, this is awesome. You see that plane just cruising on through. Also in Four Peaks, Joe capturing this one of the sun just starting to peek up over the horizon. Yeah, just really incredible. But same reason we're getting those great views, clear skies. Same reason we're also on the chilly side. Once again, we've got this freeze warning for the southeast corner of the state, closer to Tucson through about 9 o'clock this morning. Its temperatures are going to dip below the freezing point, so under 32 degrees. Now, we're going to turn things around rather rapidly, but all in all, we're really not seeing massively warm conditions. I mean, comparatively so. When you take a look at the Northeast, 66 overhead, seemingly balmy. But by our standards, this is exactly where we're supposed to be. Today, we're going to be on the partly cloudy side, I'll say. We've got clear skies to the west. That's all courtesy of a little bit of wind and then a little bit of cloud cover rolling overhead for parts of Arizona. These clouds are not bringing in any kind of rainfall. It's just going to filter the sunlight. We see this a lot. These are mid-level clouds. Temperature-wise, we're still sitting pretty at about 47 in Flagstaff and 54 today in Sedona. So how's it going to break down? Those clouds really just out there this morning. Then we clear out nicely. We're hitting the 60s by noon. So again, for us here in the desert, to start the whole first part of the day in the 40s and 50s, you're going to need a layer. And then we're hitting about 66 degrees by about 4 o'clock this afternoon. So it's going to be a beautiful day. Again, a little bit of clouds in the morning, clear by this afternoon. Daytime highs at 66 during the day, which is just a couple degrees shy of our average range. But remember, anything within 5 degrees of average is considered normal weather. Now, next week, we're going to be edging closer and closer to those records, so we'll be watching that. But I mentioned we've got clear skies to the west. That's also because we've got some wind. These mid-level clouds that are branching off and just pushing through the south, that is resulting in the pressure kind of tightening up in Bullhead City. Yesterday, we saw those winds upward of 25 miles an hour. Today, they're going to be under 15 miles an hour, and they're really going to relax overnight. This is going to set the stage for nothing but nice, calm conditions tomorrow, which is a surefire sign that we've got high pressure in charge, and that's going to allow those numbers to climb. During the evening hours, we're still enjoying very mild numbers, so it's clear and calm tonight as temperatures drop down to about 46 degrees. So what's happening? Well, the jet stream is really cutting us off from all the moisture and the cool air. And in fact, this is going to be a screenplay for us, not just through the weekend, but all next week as well, as our temperatures are going to now start to take this upward trend. We've kicked that off with about 68 tomorrow in Phoenix, 52 in Flagstaff, but the next 7 days shows that, from 47 tomorrow or today in Flag up to 61 by the early part of next week. Numbers across the board are on the warmer side. Here in the Valley of the Sun, we've got commanding sunshine in the works for you. We are going to raise the temperature from about 66 today up to 78 by Thursday next week.
78 in December. Well, heavy snow is expected to impact Colorado's mountains this weekend, so definitely not 78 there. Denver's Kathy Sabin and Katie LaSalle have all those details.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin. And we have enjoyed a nice change in the weather, a wintry change, which has brought cold, snow, and ice and made for a couple of difficult drives on I-25. But with that big, beautiful full moon and the snowy landscape, it should be beautiful the next couple of days with a slow warming trend for the city. But ahead of that comes a big storm system for the mountains, and we need it. There's heavy mountain snow forecast and foothill wind while Denver stays relatively dry and kicks off a warming trend that'll last right into the weekend. The leading edge of that storm system is moving into northwestern Colorado as we speak, and that will generate wind in the foothills starting today and some light snow in the mountains. The winds out of the northwest are forecast to pick up. We could see gusts 40, 50, 60 miles per hour, and some of that wind will translate down to the surface by the time Saturday afternoon rolls around. But really, it's all about the snow in the mountains. Winter storm warnings out for 1 to 2 feet of snow, and that snow starts today. Midday, it gets going. And then really, as we get to Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon, that's when we have the heavy snow, the blowing snow, and really difficult travel on I-70. Lower elevations dry for the most part. We may have a brief shower in the form of rain or snow that squeaks along the front range here on Saturday when that wave comes across, but getting that moisture on the ground in Denver is going to be tough. So really the big story will be the mountains, and they need this water. They need this moisture. The snowpack levels are below average, and the ski resorts have been slow to open. But this storm should help with a winter storm warning out today through Sunday for 1 to 2 feet of snow. Denver will start in the 20s, warm to the lower 40s today, and we have really a nice stretch of weather coming up. A slow warming trend that'll get us into the 50s by next week. We are dry with no meaningful snow here in Denver for the next 7 to 10 days.
I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team's Katie LaSalle. The Colorado High Country is bracing for our first real significant snowstorm of the season. We have seen snow showers already this Friday over portions of the High Country, but it's going to be tonight through the day on Saturday where we'll really see some widespread heavy snow accumulation. It's great though. Our mountain towns are rejoicing. We are right now at the 4th lowest to date on record of Colorado's statewide snowpack, so we could absolutely use it. And this snowstorm is looking to really help with that pack here across the state, especially for our northern and central mountains. Giving you some 3-day snow reports in the mountains up near Steamboat Springs, 29 inches in the last 3 days. We will pile that number up as we get through Saturday and Sunday. Breckenridge over a foot. We've picked up around 1 to 2 in the last 24 hours, but it'll be Saturday through the day. We'll continue to see snow showers for this afternoon. We have a little window if you're driving tonight, but starting early Saturday morning, 8 to 14 inches of snow. This is just the I-70 corridor up to the Eisenhower-Johnson Tunnel, Loveland Ski Area, west through Silverthorne, and then into our central mountains. So as we can see, our snowfall totals ranging between 1 to 2 feet up over Rabbit Ears Pass, Steamboat Springs. The I-70 drive is under that winter storm warning through tonight and all day Saturday. So this is going to be continuous snowfall and very gusty winds, and that will really create some treacherous travel on the roadways. So if you are planning to ski and board, take advantage of some of that fresh powder, you definitely want to be prepared. We could be seeing very difficult, even impossible travel at times with wind gusts up to 55 miles per hour, especially over those higher mountain passes. Widespread snow steadily falling heavily, it looks like, through a big portion of the afternoon. We'll gradually start to see some of that heavier snow clear out as we get into the afternoon and evening hours, but still impacted by winter weather. CDOT, of course, does a great job of clearing the roadways when we see these types of storms, but just want to let you know you need to be prepared for winter driving conditions, snow actively falling. And then as you can see for today, 1 to 3 inches will accumulate. It'll be Saturday. We'll be watching these snow totals tick up. We'll keep you posted on how that affects our Colorado snowpack, but regardless, it is great to see. Just want to make sure everyone is careful on the roads with the winter weather arriving this weekend.
And after a slow start to the season, Colorado ski resorts are finally starting to get some decent powder. Our team in Denver checked in with a few of them for an early season update.
You know, we're all very excited to see the snow.
Last week, Loveland Ski Area picked up almost a foot of fresh powder.
So we opened on November 8th, and it was for us really intentional about choosing our opening date because we didn't want to rush the process.
Lauren Roberson says before they chose a date, they wanted to make sure they'd be able to stay open for the remainder of the season.
There was some challenges in the beginning with some warmer temps, but they came through. Our team was working really hard to make it happen.
More than 240 40 acres of their terrain can be covered by snow they make themselves.
For the local businesses and the economy, we are dependent on this snow and these conditions to deliver.
Beaver Creek is officially open for the season. A stretch of unseasonably mild weather last month forced a short delay. The lifts are moving again.
And our lower elevations kind of plagued us a little bit with the issue of not being able to make snow overnight even.
They welcomed their first wave of skiers and snowboarders on Sunday. Last week's streak of bitter cold gave snowmaking crews what they needed to build out the slopes.
Just last year, we had 18 inches the night before opening day. So yeah, it can vary year to year.
Both resorts were able to make the most of Thanksgiving weekend, and now their sights are set on the next big leg of the holiday season.
Now that things are changing for the Front Range and people aren't thinking about biking and golfing anymore, people are shifting their mindset to come out and ski.
As climate change continues to affect the planet with huge shifts in weather patterns, it's also affecting the ocean, causing big shifts in coral reefs. Now, a professional surfer who's also a scientist is teaming up with a nonprofit to map reefs around the world. Meteorologist Sean Stiles shares how you can be a part of the effort in today's Earth 8 report.
The reefs that I like to focus on is surfing reefs.
Cliff Capono is known as the smartest surfer in the world. With a PhD in chemistry, this professional free surfer and co-founder of Mega Labs is using his passion for the ocean to focus on coral reefs.
We know that the corals cover roughly about 0.2% of the oceans, but they support over a quarter of all marine life that exists in the entire oceans. So they're incredibly important, we know that, but we don't really know exactly what the state of these coral reefs are around the world.
Capono is working with the network of Mega Labs to map the reefs around the world, this to establish a baseline of their health.
There's a statistic that we've mapped more of the surface of Mars than we have the bottom of our oceans.
Which may sound crazy, but it's true. That's why this effort is so important.
So we have a global effort to map 1 million reefs by the end of 2030. And in doing so, I think we're going to be able to understand how to better, again, conserve or restore those systems.
This is where citizen scientists come into play and why the focus will be on surfing reefs, where surfers already are, and they can document the health of the reef.
We want to extend it to anybody who has a value to any reef near their shoreline, near their house, near the places they play, whether it's a beach, whether it's a fishing ground, whether it's a surf spot.
The reason this is so important, coral reefs are considered ground zero when you're looking at the health of the oceans.
So coral reefs are what a lot of people within the science world call keystone species. They act sort of in a very delicate web with all these other animals. They also provide nutrients for microorganisms that exist that are sort of the bottom level facilitators of the whole ecosystem balance. You know, it's like the crazy food web, you know, or sometimes we think about the butterfly effect. Something really small has a massive influence on, you know, miles and miles of way.
That's why Capono and Mega Labs is asking for your help. Whether you're a surfer or someone that just loves the ocean, you can make a difference and help map the reefs of the world. I'll put a link on this web story to map2adapt.com so you can be part of the solution. Sean Stiles, Earth 8.
And it's going to be a really nice weekend to head to the beaches in Southern California, but king tides and the rip current risk continues. Here's San Diego's Vanessa Paz with much more.
Happy Friday from San Diego, California. I'm CBS 8 meteorologist Vanessa Paz. Well, shout out to our viewers. They've been sending incredible shots of the supermoon, which peaked last night. You can still get a glimpse of it later on this evening and early tomorrow, but a peak of the supermoon happened yesterday, and it looks like we are getting incredible shots across the board here with the images our viewers have been sending in. As we take a look at weather headlines, getting Friday and the weekend going, we will have the San Santa Ana winds start to weaken all the way through today. King tides continuing through today as well, but we will see them continuing to linger for early Saturday. Overall, we're looking at pretty calm conditions, but next week we're actually looking at a warming pattern with daytime highs a lot warmer than average for this time of year. As we take a look at those weakening winds, we will still see them out of the north and east today, drying things out. Isolated gusts will be anywhere between the 20 to 40 mile per hour range below the coastal mountain slopes. As we take a look at today's highs, we are talking about nearly picture perfect conditions out there. Mostly sunny skies stretching from the coast all the way towards interior parts of the county. We have mostly high 60s on tap from Oceanside all the way down to the South Bay. Low 70s is what we're expecting for those neighborhoods that hug the 15 corridor from Fallbrook all the way down to about Poway. 71 is quite a popular number. Those are the highs that we'll see stretching from the 15 all the way towards Ramona. About 10 degrees cooler this afternoon for Julian and 71 this afternoon for Borrego Springs. As we take a look at overnight lows, there are a lot of events happening, including December nights out in Balboa Park, a very popular spot here in San Diego County. We will drop down to the low 50s overnight for the coastal areas. Meanwhile, for the inland communities, we'll drop down into the high 40s, low 40s for the mountain areas, and will rise or will bottom out in the upper 40s for our desert communities. So the storm track, it's going to pass well to our north. Unfortunately, all the cool and wet conditions will be just to our north in the Pacific Northwest, stretching east, and we will just be kind of seeing this dome of warm air, a ridge of high pressure, take over the next several days and into next week. That's actually going to bring quite the warm up, especially looking ahead to next Tuesday and Wednesday. As we take a look at highs for your Saturday, we are talking mostly low 70s for the inland neighborhoods. 71, pretty comparable to what we're expecting today is what we're going to see for your Saturday afternoon. We'll be touching highs in the mid to upper 60s from Oceanside all the way to downtown San Diego. 65 for a high out in Julian, and we'll be in the mid 70s in Borrego Springs. Here's a quick look at what you can expect along the coast and inland valleys. We will see those mild temperatures kind of stick around through most of the weekend, especially for the coastal areas. But notice how on Sunday things start to warm up. We'll be in the high 70s, and then we'll eventually climb into the mid 80s by the time we get to the middle of next week. The warmth peaks Tuesday and Wednesday, and then things will slowly start to cool down once we get towards the end of next week into the weekend. As we take a look at the mountain areas, we are going to be frigid when it comes to those overnight lows, close to freezing. Below that, in some spots, especially in those higher elevation neighborhoods. And then we're back into the 40s overnight starting Sunday. We'll be topping out in the 60s up until Tuesday, and then 70s make a return come Wednesday and Thursday.
Now let's head on up to Sacramento, California, where Monica Woods is tracking a quiet but foggy forecast.
I'm meteorologist Monica Woods, and we're looking at our regional headlines, which includes, once again, the king tides. Now, for some parts of the coast, those are going to hang in through the weekend. For the valley, we've got less wind, more fog ahead for the outlook. For the foothills, mostly sunny skies, and for this year, cold nights are ahead. Our king tides continue across much of the coast, and that will be right in place through parts of the weekend, especially for the Bay Area. So expect those sneaker waves and strong rip currents. For some surfers, they sometimes like some of the conditions out there. So it may be a very busy time along the coast. Watch out for some of those parking lots, though, especially near the coast, that may see some flooding. Visible satellite imagery, we have been socked in with the fog periodically for about the past week or so, and this has given much of the valley very chilly, unseasonably cool temperatures. You can see how the clouds are just socked in through much of the morning, early afternoon. This has been on rinse and repeat for several days now. Our Sacramento temperatures have been well below average. All of these days marked in blue are going to be the below normal temperatures. For November, coolest day that we've had in a couple of years, 46 degrees, happened on the last day there. Started off December unseasonably cool. Got some sunshine, warmed us into the low 60s with some north winds, but then we're right back to the fog. A lot of folks are asking, is this a record stretch of cool temperatures? Well, I dug into the record books, and we've had a stretch of consecutive days, 23, where temperatures did not get above 50 degrees. We stayed in the 40s. That was back in 1925, lasted through the early part of 26 with 23 days. Most recently, 1985. We actually had 18 days where we were stuck in the 40s. Now, our high resolution model featuring a lot of showers to the north of us. In fact, north of the border. Occasionally, we'll see a few light showers in extreme northern California, but a fairly consistent weather pattern is with us. We'll see a mix of sun and clouds, periods of the low clouds and fog right up and down the valley. So just be prepared of some swings in temperatures where many places will be warmer for the higher elevations than, say, through the valley. Highs are going to be in the 50s as we're wrapping up this work week for the high country. We're in the low to mid 50s for many places, and that will be true as well throughout the Central Sierra. Some of the ski resorts are opening. Call ahead or check the websites and make sure that things are in full operation because it has been quite dry. So they need to get the machines going to get the snow up on the hill. 50s throughout the Central Valley, including Fresno. As we make our way to the Central Coast, you'll see highs in the low to mid 60s, even upper 60s for Big Sur and Morro Bay. Head inland and we've got areas of fog, and that's going to be one of those days where we struggled to clear out of the gray skies, keeping temperatures in the 50s. Moving up along the Bay Area coast, again, king tides in play, highs in the 60s. Inland areas were in the 50s as we again start off with a lot of low clouds and fog and then partially clear for the afternoon. 50s and 60s along the northwest coast. Watch out for occasional showers brushing through extreme northern California. North end of the valley we're in the 50s and the capital region. Our morning lows are in the 40s and then those afternoon highs climbing into the 50s once again. So we're kind of bouncing around here with areas of fog, a mix of sun and clouds, no precipitation over the next 5 days with our regional forecast. That includes the mountains, the foothills, and the coast with areas of fog even for the coast. Moving on to the extended forecast into the next 10 days is when we finally start to see some of those showers pop up by the next weekend. But this weekend dry, just watch out for areas of fog with a mix of sun and clouds for the next several days.
Before we wrap things up on this Friday for Weather Out West, let's get a final check on the forecast. Don't forget, for Seattle, they have first alert weather days Tuesday and Wednesday ahead of that atmospheric river. In Spokane, it's the second half of Friday. So Friday night into Saturday, rain to snow for the northeastern portion of the state, windy on Saturday, and for Boise, it's really for today. Meanwhile, in Portland, they are also going to be under their weather impact alert days Tuesday and Wednesday. You can always find the latest on their websites and then through the Plus app throughout the weekend, just to get you ahead of all the active weather. As always, we thank you for joining us on Weather Out West, and we'll see you again on Monday.